Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of Sir Han on X, coming to you from Cincinnati, Ohio, in the United States. Shout out to all my followers out there. Happy Victory Thursday to all my Baltimore Ravens followers in what was another classic game last night. Just want to give you guys the shout out. Uh, Actually, a bit of a chilly morning here in Cincinnati. I went for a nice little jog, got some miles in, got about 20,000 steps, trying to get my weight back down here a little bit because I'm back over 180. But guys, able to get a workout in, got a good nice meal, got a chance to enjoy the day a little bit. Um, Hope everyone out there is doing well. Another good show I have locked up here today. And I'm just going to get right down to it. Of course, the story was last night's thriller between Cincinnati and Baltimore. Came down to the wire. Um, Storyline here is to me is the defenses on both sides were just absolutely pathetic. I mean, missed assignments here, missed tackles here. You would think with the defensive coordinator, Zach Orr with Baltimore and Luana Rumo Cincinnati, they would be more disciplined than this. So far this season, and especially when these two teams have gone at it, it's not there. I mean, it's a poignant, the real poignant moment for me in this game came when Cincinnati had Baltimore pinned deep, and Lamar Jackson throws just a minor out route to Tylan Wallace. Wallace makes the catch. Camp Taylor Britt, whose useless self is burnt yet again. He goes off to this. He's basically, I don't know where he's be found at. The entire Cincinnati Bengal defense just stops. I mean, they just stop, thinking the play is over. And next thing you know, Logan Wilson's trying to push Tylan Wallace out of bounds. He can't get it. And then, of course, Geno Stone, who's basically useless, just basically his love taps him and does nothing. And Tylan Wallace has gone straight 84 yards for a touchdown after the catch. I mean, how do you have three guys blow an assignment on basically one play was basically just nothing more than a simple out route where basically it was just the equivalent of a short wide receiver screen, and the guy's open and he's taking it to the house. And of course, a couple plays later, after Baltimore takes the lead on a perfectly placed pass by Lamar Jackson to Rashad Bateman, the Baltimore defense, some way somehow, lets Jamar Chase burn him for a 60 some odd for a 70-yarder himself. And in other years I've seen the Ravens defense, I've never seen just that defense just basically blow an assignment. Now I don't know who it was Brandon Stevens, or I think Marcus Williams was supposed to be over the middle. I know they lost Kyle Hamilton earlier in the game, but that's not an excuse for this. I mean, Jamar Chase was already burning you guys, and you somehow let him burn you again for a 70-yarder, which essentially tied the game at that point. No, I repeat that. It was after the Tylan Wallace pass to touchdown reception where that happened. I mean, I've never seen two teams with that kind of a coaching staff play such surreally undisciplined defense that these two have. Speaks to a little bit the coaching. Also, Zach Taylor with Cincinnati, is John Harbaugh with Baltimore. I know I have my Ravens followers who sometimes just rip John Harbaugh. Sometimes it's deserved, sometimes it isn't. And of course, here in Cincinnati, Zach Taylor's getting taken to the woodshed again. The inability to just play basic defense and to tackle in the NFL, I know part of it is because of 5,000 rule changes, and maybe have another 5,000 coming up. I don't know what it is, but it's still inexcusable when you allow these many big plays. I mean, we consider the two standout quarterbacks that took place in this game. The bigger story here is how in the world Cincinnati's defense, who basically had the game on cruise control, but had it under control with a 14-point lead, just blatantly blow it. Starting with when Chase Brown got stripped by Marlon Humphrey, the game just basically turned, and the Ravens' confidence just went through the roof. Lamar Jackson started putting on the masterpiece, as we see Lamar Jackson do. This game basically came down to who basically wanted it more, and it turned out that Baltimore did. Not saying Cincinnati didn't, but Baltimore did, because we go to Baltimore on Thursday Night Football. It's a different atmosphere. Cincinnati experienced that for the second straight year. Baltimore gets the win. They move to 7-3. Cincinnati falls to 4-6. Of course, there's all the hoopla from Bengals fans again about the officials, which there were garbage calls both ways the entire game. Notice I said both ways. It wasn't one way. It was both ways. but still not the reason why the Bengals lost the game. You had a 14-point lead. You weren't man enough to get the job done. You had your starting quarterback had at least 7 or 8 throws where they were blatant overthrows. They were like 6 feet high and 7 feet in front of a receiver. I don't know what he was thinking. Then he has then the 2-point conversion attempt, which, by the way, I like the call to go for the win on the road. Every coach should take notes of that. Go for the win on the road. The fact you threw a pass to a receiver who was a half yard away from the end zone, that's not going to cut it. If you're going to go for a win, you don't throw a pass half yard to an undeserved tight end who can't catch a ball to save his life a half yard away from the end zone. That was just a garbage throw and a garbage play by whoever called it. I don't know who did. I don't know what did, but it doesn't matter. The point is that happened. The Bengals fans, per usual, I'm going to give you this as a little tribute because this is how you're acting today. That's you guys right now. Thank goodness Kleenex sponsored with the Cincinnati Bengals for all the crying you're doing about how you guys lost the game. It was not because of the officiating. It was because your defense stunk it up again. And it's getting to a point to where you guys are using your defense as a scapegoat for your poor play overall. Here's the problem. I said this in the beginning of the season. Your defense was going to be cheeks this season. It was going to be cheeks. That's some words I would like to use for it, but I'm taking the high road with this. You knew, as bad as your defense was last year, I didn't think you guys would find a way to be worse this year. But my God, you are. Last few years, you let DJ Reader and Jesse Bates walk and don't even try to fill those voids. I mean, we filled them with Geno Stone and Sheldon Rankins. They've been non-existent this season. The corpse of Von Bell, he's done nothing. I mean, Jordan Battle toward the end of the season showed why he should be getting more snaps. You're not giving him any snaps. I mean, give me a break. You guys are now starting to use what you already knew all along as a scapegoat, which was your defense was going to be terrible. And by the way, Trey Hendrickson, who I loved, was basically clamped by Ronnie Stanley all night long. I maybe one time I saw Trey Hendrickson in the backfield trying to pressure Lamar Jackson. Now we know Lamar Jackson's a loosey-goosey character. He's a tough guy to slow down when he's on the move. But still, when you have an elite pass rusher like Trey Hendrickson, who came off a game where he had 4 sacks, just come up with one quarterback pressure. I mean, that's another reason why he got lost right there. I mean, your defense is going to go the way Trey Hendrickson does, and in this NFL, that's not going to cut it. Might be time. If I were you guys over there, instead of coming on the app and crying about officiating like your fans and your cosplay fans and all you morons in Cincinnati love to do, why don't you go to the front office, take one of Mike Brown's blank checks and just hand it to Trey Hendrickson and tell him, and just hand it to him, tell him whatever figure it takes to keep you here, keep it. Because I don't know what the heck your defense is going to do if you let Trey Hendrickson walk after next season. I hope it doesn't happen, but I don't know what in the world you're going to do. It's bad enough you guys are pushing a narrative a couple years ago for a quarterback to be paid $55 million a year. And I mean, force it. You push it. You force fit it down people's throats. You also try to force feed the idea of trying to re-sign T. Higgins. That ship sailed a long time ago. I mean, I told you all along, you guys should have traded him for draft picks after you lost to Kansas in the 2022 AFC title game. You guys didn't. I also told you guys that, he's only going to be here on one franchise tag this year. He's only being paid $21 million. Here's a problem you're going to have next season. The quarterback's contract is going to be a $49 million cap hit. You still have Orlando Brown Jr. on your roster. His cap hit is going to be over $20 million. And you have a couple of other guys here and a couple of other guys there for whatever reason. You probably find some way to cap save or whatever. And of course, you have the quandrum I'm going to talk about here in a second with Jamar Chase and that contract. You're fixing to have a second straight season of being 9-8 and missing the playoffs. Now you guys are going to be put in a real serious and uncomfortable situation where you're about to become a treadmill team. To go 2 straight seasons, 9-8, and not make the playoffs in the AFC with that talent you guys have on that roster, there's going to be some serious uncomfortable questions. It's going to have to come some hardcore answers, and it starts with the morons on these stupid apps all over the place. The so-called fans, the so-called cosplay fans, the 90% of these moronic content creators, the key figures being Kay Adams and Kelsey Conway. And not to mention all you guys here in the media, like I see on Channel 9, WCPO, Channel 12, WKRC, Fox 19, Channel 5, WLWT, and of course, all the radio stations I hear you guys hear, from Sarah Elise and Mo Egger, among the others, which a lot of you guys just carry yourself like a bunch of moronic idiots every time you open your mouth. The problem I have is you guys aren't even holding anyone accountable. You seem to have this everything's okay attitude. Nothing's okay when you have that kind of talent and you're going to go have a second straight season of 9-8 and missing the playoffs. You guys will probably need to win out just to try and clinch a playoff spot. Because I don't even think 10 wins is going to do it. Why? Because you already stunk up the joint in the AFC already. You only have 2 wins in the conference. And those 2 wins are basically the Raiders and the Browns. That's not really saying a whole lot. Yeah, you guys are treading dangerous waters because come the 2020, going to the 2025 season, I don't know how you guys enter training camp or enter free agency. Second straight season, 9-8, haven't missed the playoffs. What's going to be your selling point? I told you guys you probably should have tanked after the injury last season to get a high draft pick, maybe get a deep wide receiver room in the 2024 draft with guys like Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze. Probably get one of those guys to cover it. Nobody wanted to do that. You guys were going all in on wanting to make a playoff spot, and it backfired. I mean, Jake Browning came in after the injury and did all he could. But what could you ask for Jake Browning at that point? Congratulations. You guys played yourselves like idiots. You guys carried yourselves like cowards. And once again, we're going to have this conversation next March when the 2025 New Year starts. Because I don't know what direction you guys are going to go. And I don't know what the selling point is going to be when you guys enter training camp. It's going to be a belligerent mess. On one quick note, I need to bring this up before I proceed because this coming to my news feed about half an hour ago, and this needs called out. Apparently, there's some of you Bengals fans in Cincinnati who have you guys call out Zach Taylor for as a coach, understandably so. This I will not tolerate. I'll try to read this out loud to you because it's not the greatest image. This is from the Instagram account of Zach Taylor's wife. Because there apparently a lot of you morons in Cincinnati apparently I guess found her account and decided to attack her and attack her for whatever reason because you guys feel the need to get yourselves involved in this. And not just her, but her family also. This is the account again. This is the account of the wife of the Bengals head coach Zach Taylor, who's being victimized by the most despicable fan base right now, Cincinnati Bengals fans. Don't bring the Bengals captain part of this involved because he's probably one of the driving forces in all of this. Don't think I don't see your act. Don't even try me. I've seen it once in person, and I'm not going to attend to it again. I know you're a part of it. Look, I get sports fandom because when I grew up, I was around perhaps the most toxic of them all, Mike Tyson fans. They were this exact same way. After the loss of Buster Douglas, Evander Holyfield, they acted this exact same way. I'm reliving it in Cincinnati right now with you guys. It's basically the Bengals fans, the Bengals cosplay fans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Don't think I don't see it. You can go ahead and cry about the one thing make a jerk of yourselves when you complain about bad referees, how the NFL hates you, yada, yada, yada. When you go after a man's family like that, it's intolerable. I am not sorry for the fact you guys want to be cowards day in and day out in Cincinnati on these apps or whatever. Attacking a head coach's family. I mean, I get it. Wait, back up here. I get it. You guys want Zach Taylor fired in the worst way possible. Understood. I mean, it happens across the NFL. We know this. But how the hell are you going to use a social media account of a man's wife and children, but while he's in Baltimore coaching his butt off trying to get a win to save your guys' season like this? It's just flat out inexcusable. I don't know. I know who the driving forces are behind this. I'm not going to put your names out there yet because I'm going to wait till the details come out because it's wrong at this moment. But don't think I don't see what's going on. You can mention my name all you want because I have nothing to hide because I'm just here with a microphone giving analysis of what the heck you guys do. That's what I'm doing. Put my name in your mouth all you want. I don't care because I said I seen the act already. You guys knew who I am, and I'm not changing for you guys or anyone simply because I don't bow down to anyone. I don't get down to my knees and drop someone's drawers and kiss your butt. simply because you guys want to act in a certain way. You're not going to sucker me into acting the way you want, because I said all along, I stand on my own as a fan, and that's how it's going to be. I don't partake in the sick groupie act you guys have over there in your tailgating parties where you're drinking beer out of gas cans, or some of you women out here who sell a different kind of content, the nasty adult filth kind, and then put your fake images on these sites and make yourself something that you're really not. I see it day in and day out. Don't even try it. The fact you would resort to attacking, stalking someone's social media account and sending private messages to his wife and kids, that's a whole new level stuff. Not even Mike Tyson fans did that in that day. But there's more of this. I'm going to refrain from this because that's one of the stuff that messes up our city badly. I want to talk about one other subject, more on a different route here. The intentional mishandling of the contract extension of Ja'Marr Chase. We saw what Justin Jefferson got. We saw what Justin Jefferson of Minnesota. We saw what CeeDee Lamb of Dallas got. What's the reason why you couldn't get the deal done? I mean, we have idiots out here who think they know the answer when they really don't. I mean, Ja'Marr Chase hasn't said why he didn't. I mean, the Bengals organization hasn't come out and say why they didn't. I mean, it's a ridiculous insult that this guy and this issue did not get resolved during training camp. While we saw Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb get theirs done, I think there's another receiver there also. I can't think of who it was. I know Tyreek Hill got restructured. But it is inexcusable and unfathomable and unexplainable why it is this did not get done. And guess what's going to happen this offseason? Ja'Marr Chase's value, the way he's played this season, it's going to go up. You might be out of your price range now. How are you going to explain this? Because ownership came out on a live, some kind of I don't know what they call it, town hall, whatever the hell you want to call it, was on a Channel 5. He basically said, we're going to do everything we can to sign Ja'Marr Chase. How come no deal was done? So you got to explain that. How come no deal is done? No one is saying anything. There's a lot of false presumptions all over the place, from even the national media, from guys like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter, to the local media here, to you idiots over here who try to draw stupid conclusions. The fact you had the opportunity to get the deal done and you didn't want to complete it says you all they need to know. That's why Ja'Marr Chase had that hold in, or whatever the hell you want to call it, during training camp. I don't blame him. I mean, you're basically asking this guy to play without a contract, and we see what happened with all the injuries this season, in the NFL across the board, and some of the top players. So key guys missing key time. That's why Ja'Marr Chase held in. Actually, if I was Ja'Marr Chase, I wouldn't even bother playing a snap this season until a deal was done. Again, if I'm some of you guys, instead of some of you moronic fans out here running your mouths about once you get off this app, go to the Bengals office, force the ownership to give Ja'Marr Chase a blank check and do what it takes to keep him. Because I don't want to be you guys in a couple years when both Chase and Higgins are out of here. T. Higgins is likely gone after the season. You guys blew it there blatantly. I want to see what happens when you lose both of them. That I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's a reality you guys need to think about. The problem is we have a bunch of morons here in Cincinnati who refuse to think about it. That's the thing. Because I'm not going to pull back any punches anymore. You guys will force this narrative down my throat. I'm firing back. Because I got news for you. Nobody is going to get away soft with me. Everyone will be held accountable. Because when I have this mic, I'm not going to hold. I'm not going to come over to your house and threaten violence. I'm not going to come to your house with a loaded gun and try to take someone's head off. I'm just going to tell it like it is right here. And if you have a problem with it, deal with it or get out. That's what it comes down to. Because somebody around here needs to start taking a strong stand and holding people accountable all over the place. I mean, the capper was what happened today when Zach Taylor's family was threatened. I don't know what the specifics. I'm not going to go there. But now it's time to some house cleaning. If there's no deal done this offseason, if I'm Ja'Marr Chase, I'm not taking another snap for the Bengals until a contract is done, or I'm demanding a trade and getting the hell out of there. Because Ja'Marr Chase deserves better than what was given to him. especially from this organization, which is probably the most poor run organization in all the professional sports. It's been proven time after time after time. And here we go having this conversation again. Can't believe we're having this conversation 3 decades later, where all the economics have changed and everybody knows this is the landscape of the NFL. I'll get more to all of this another time, another day. That's my NFL talk. Now I've commented a little bit, got that off my chest. Some light NBA news here. This is the NBA suspending Joel Embiid 3 games for a confrontation with a beat reporter out of Philadelphia. Over the weekend, Jason Kelce probably set the trend from moving this point forward. When that coward decided to heckle Jason Kelce to label a homophobic slur toward him and his brother, busted his phone. You know the story there. Of course, and just so you guys know, yes, he was shoved first. The guy shoved Jason Kelce. There's a video of that out there. Don't come to me. Go out there and watch it. The worst thing was that Jason Kelce didn't crush this guy's skull in front of everyone because he deserved it. But here's the thing with this with Joel Embiid. Look, Joel Embiid plays for Philadelphia with one of the most guile media cities maybe ever out of all of them. Joel Embiid plays in Philadelphia where they shred you every chance you get. The problem here was this individual went to the groups and saying the guy spent too much time with his, with his family. I guess we had a dead father, I believe, one of them, and the other was spent time with a newborn, saying he spent too much time with him. And I guess Joel Embiid noticed it and read it and basically just confronted him and apparently shoved him. Now, I get it. The NBA did the right thing. They should have done something. I get it. But we're heading some dangerous times when it comes to player-media relationships, and in some cases, player-fan relationships, because when it starts to get too close to comfort and too close for this sort of thing, sparks are going to fly, and we're going to have more and more incidents, especially these days where everything is out in the open. Everybody needs to be careful here because, one wrong word and something like this is going to happen. The only thing that surprised me here is I'm not surprised more players have done this more often, but some of the things that's been written and said, with the new with technology and social media and everything out in the open. Because I said this all along. Once you have this and you say the right and wrong thing, you can say the right or wrong thing whatsoever, and somebody's going to get it. I mean, I said Jason Kelce and Joel Embiid might have set a trend here because over the next several days, weeks, or months, or whatever, don't be surprised if we see more of this. I'm not saying it's the right thing. I mean, it's a hard thing to do. What people forget, these athletes are human beings just like myself and everybody else. Certain words and certain things can be said the wrong way, and you're going to trigger a reaction like this from anyone. I mean, yeah, Joel Embiid should have shown restraint. I get that part of the argument. I get it. I understand it. But the fact that some people in Philadelphia are letting this guy off the hook for going after Joel Embiid's family is what the problem is. Basically, Joel Embiid basically told him to his face, "I'll live with the consequences if this keeps up." I mean, but what can you say? The man just defending his family. One of them left this earth, and he brought a newborn in. Wants to spend time with him. I mean, if anybody in the media or fan has a problem with any athlete wanting to spend time with their family, don't even follow sports because they're human beings just like all of us with lives outside sports privately that they want to live also. Greater respect needs to be shown here, and this is where it's going to be troubling over the next several days, weeks, and months coming. I mean, I get what the NBA did. I get it as a right thing, but at the same time, a lot of people need to be careful and watch what the hell they're saying right. So let's take care of my NBA talk. Now, I got my fight followers here. I just want to touch on one issue real quick before I go to the historical perspective because I saw this last night. This has to do with a fight tonight between Keyshawn Davis, and I'll pronounce this guy's name correctly, Gustavo Lemos. For my fight followers, he gave Richardson Hutchins a difficult fight, lost. The story here is the guy weighed in 6 pounds over the limit intentionally, blatantly, disrespectfully. It's one of the most insulting things you can do in the sport. Not just boxing, also combat sports. I have some MMA followers. if you guys follow the MMA, it's the same thing also. It's one thing you come in 1 or 2 pounds, over. I get it. The human body changes, especially when you get older, especially in combat sports. But you're coming to fight 6 pounds over. Who the hell are you? Who exactly the hell are you? Here's the thing. Especially now when, I guess, one of these so-called governing bodies have like 30-day mandates, 14-day mandates, 7-day mandates for whatever reason. Why in the world isn't this being imposed here? And the thing is, why isn't there more stiffer punishment for fighters who come in willfully and blatantly this far over the weight? Because we've had this forever and ever and ever and ever. You're coming in, you're fighting a lightweight fight. You're basically coming in you're not even making the junior welterweight limit. Apparently, this guy weighed 142 pounds. You're going to be a welterweight going into this fight. What does it say about you? I mean, you're supposedly a number one contender, one of these idiotic governing bodies. Supposedly, it was gift wrapped to you. And now you come in at 6 pounds overweight. You just came up with a lawsuit, Richardson Hutchins, and you're going to be fighting Keyshawn Davis in his own backyard in a feature, and you're coming to 6 pounds over. It's one thing you're basically saying, yeah, I know I'm going to lose a fight. I get it. But to come into a fight 6 pounds overweight, again, we're talking about 6 pounds. 6 pounds is basically 2 divisions. I mean, it's supposed to be a lightweight fight. He came as around 142 pounds. He's basically a welterweight. What gives? I get why people want rehydration clause. I'm not a fan of rehydration clauses when it comes to, day after weigh-ins, because sometimes it actually gets abused. Maybe you might have to do something more of significance, maybe a middle ground for that sort of, rehydration clauses or something, just to come in 6 pounds over, because 6 pounds in the lightweight to welterweight division of boxing is a bigger deal than you think. Especially for the little guys, because myself, when I was at that age, I was in the 130, 140 range. Whenever I shed 3 or 4 pounds, I felt it. I can understand. I get it. But it does not excuse the fact you had time to prepare for this fight, and now you're on the weigh-in 6 pounds over. Fines enough isn't going to be substantial. Might be time to start, putting people on the sidelines and put them through some kind of a strict, sanctioned condition or something, because it's just inexcusable. Doesn't matter. Keyshawn Davis is going to wipe the table out of this moron anyways. So, but still, 6 pounds overweight is an insulting thing. That takes care of that. Now a bit of a historical perspective, because I like to talk about the historical part of my sport. Actually, one of them today is something I've been wanting to get off my chest for 28 years. I'm going to say that to the end. Let's start with one that took place 36 years ago. This is at Las Vegas, Nevada. The 80s ruled the roost when it came to fighters south of the heavyweight division. There was only one guy that stood out. Sugar Ray Leonard. In 1980, he loses the welterweight title to Durand. 9 months later, gets it back in No Mas. 2 fights after that, beats Thomas Hearns on September 16, 1981, to become the 2-belt undisputed welterweight champion. He has international retirement, an attached retina. Comes back in 1987 to upset Marvin Hagler to win the middleweight championship. Goes away 19 months later. He makes another comeback. The opponent is light heavyweight champion Donny Lalonde, the original Golden Boy, not the phony one, Oscar De La Hoya, the phony one we see today. The real Golden Boy, Donny Lalonde. He was from Winnipeg, Manitoba. I mean, if you're into mullets, Donny Lalonde had a hell of a mullet going into this fight. I mean, that hairdo, that Golden Boy slick style, long motorcycle looking mullet, was a thing of beauty that he had. This fight, weirdly, was for 2 titles and 2 divisions, even though Donny Lalonde only had 1. I'm not getting into the political aspect of it, because that's what this was. Maybe part of a Sugar Ray Leonard, which, he was a narcissist by his own admission. He admitted later on in life, but I'm not going to get into it. This fight, because people thought of Sugar Ray Leonard as a bit of the showman who loved the style, loved the flamboyance. People want to know what happens when he faced with adversity. Going into this fight, nobody knew who Donny Lalonde was, except he had a belt. I mean, his best win at that point was knocking out a well-respected Leslie Stewart in 4 rounds when he went in the Virgin Islands. Come back to this fight, he's basically a 2-1 underdog. Peaked out a salary of $5 million. Going to this fight, people wonder the in and outs of Ray Leonard was how is he going to be? Ray Leonard was banking on Donny Lalonde, who had never been in a big fight in Vegas. The big fight lights just taking him down. That never happened. Actually, this fight, a lot of curiosity, but this curiosity turned into a fight, and man, it turned out to be a hell of a fight too. A much better one than anybody anticipated, including Sugar Ray Leonard. Because Donny Lalonde, built like Tommy Hearns almost, had a lanky left jab, strong right hand when he put it on you was on the canvas. Went to a fight. I know this. He had a shoulder problem. Basically, he fought with one arm, basically like this, but very, very flawed for the most part because he wasn't most skilled. But a very unique fighter who basically gave Sugar Ray Leonard all he can handle the first 3.5 rounds, including a knockdown in the fourth where a short right hand high on the head, almost like right here by the ear, that put Leonard down. I mean, he was in control of the first 3.5 rounds. But the second half of the fourth round on, as I said in another telecast not too long ago, when it came to performing on the big stage, digging down in his soul and his heart for his time, no one did that better than Sugar Ray Leonard. And boy, did he do that, because he started to get real nasty with Donny Lalonde. And the speed and the combinations he showed throughout his earlier career started to show in his big fight experience started to take over from the 5th round on. I mean, combination here, combination there. Donny Lalonde was starting to be unable to defend himself slowly but surely, because from rounds 5 to 8, it was all Sugar Ray Leonard. I mean, he showed why he's a top 15 all-time great fighter, maybe ever. Started to come on. Basically, round 6 and 7, there was good exchanges between the both fighters, but round 7 toward the end, the sizzling combination that Ray Leonard's been known for started to pile on, and you started to see Donny Lalonde started to take a beating a little bit. His face was starting to get bloody, blood coming out of his nose and mouth. I think he had a little cut over his eye. But basically, let's tell 2 fights. Let's start with this. The first 4 was Lalonde, 5 through 8 was Leonard. Enter round 9. Lalonde lands a sneaky right hand, looked like he had Leonard hurt. But he's basically wasting punches, throwing and missing all over the place, to where Donny Lalonde essentially punches himself out, and that's when Ray Leonard capitalized. 2 short left hooks. Leonard starts to put the punches together, down with Lalonde for the first time. Lalonde gets up rather slowly, face a grotesque mask, and basically Leonard just showboating into the crowd, trying to think the fight was over, which technically was here in a few seconds. But when the fighters went back together, Leonard just put a nasty left hook, right hand combination, sent Lalonde down. Fight was stopped the second Lalonde was down, because Lalonde was just basically gassed and hurt at that point. As Sugar Ray Leonard becomes the first fighter to win world titles in 5 weight classes. It's been said all along that when he really needs to get down and dig deep, when he needs to dig down, dig deep, get the win when he wants it most at the biggest stage of them all, nobody for his time was more nastier than Sugar Ray Leonard. He did it with Hearns in 81. He did it with Duran the second, the rematch before that. Did it with Wilfred Benitez. And he did it here with Donny Lalonde. Probably not talked about as much because, Leonard was starting to hit his downturn, and Lalonde wasn't necessarily the biggest name on Leonard's resume. But it's still a big win, because he managed to fork out 2 titles to secure his place among the all-time greats. Probably the greatest fighter probably the fighter of the 80s. A couple of fighters might have a say in that, but maybe hands down, Sugar Ray Leonard was a fighter of the 80s. He basically iced it with this. Eventually fought a rematch with Thomas Hearns in a fight that was, he got a gift. A little bit of a gift, you could say either way. Had the third fight with Duran in a fight that had no business taking place. Goes into retirement, takes 2 losses to Terry Norris and Hector Camacho. But you can say on his way down, this is probably Sugar Ray Leonard's last great performance and his last great hurrah, just to seal history. Job well done for him. Donny Lalonde basically went into obscurity after this. Got a title shot against Bobby Chiz in 92. Was just dog walked from start to finish. But Donny Lalonde and Sugar Ray Leonard on this day 36 years ago in Vegas gave a whale of a fight in the light heavyweight division, a fight that nobody thought would be like this. I mean, when they did the HBO replay of this fight, Sugar Ray Leonard got a beating a little bit. One of his eyes was swollen. His lip was swollen. And Donny, so too was Lalonde, because his cut was, he had a cut over one of his eyes. Both guys gave a hell of a show 36 years ago today. Kudos to Sugar Ray Leonard and Donny Lalonde. Now to my favorite topic that I've waited almost 30 years to talk about, because I've been wanting to get this off my chest. And today's a perfect day for it. I've said on many of occasions, especially to you guys in Cincinnati when it comes to Bengals fans, the worst fan base I've ever dealt, other than you guys in Cincinnati, has always been Mike Tyson fans. I'll give you the perfect example. 28 years ago today, he finally got the guy that chased him for 8 years. The guy that chased him for 8 years, none other than Evander Holyfield, finally got Mike Tyson in the ring and finally got his mission accomplished. This fight was an 8-year buildup. It goes from basically the back end of 88 to the back end of 96. It started when Evander Holyfield, after he cleaned out the cruiserweight division, went up to heavyweight, fought a couple of heavyweights, James Quick Tillis and Pinklon Thomas, both who lost to Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson, of course, has his issues outside the ring, well chronicled. I'm not going to use the time for it, but he did have the issues. Fast forward to February of 1989, March of 1989, when Evander Holyfield fought a respected heavyweight fighter named Michael Dokes in a give-and-take war that people use that as a barometer to see if Evander Holyfield could compete as a cruiserweight. It was a give-and-take war for 10 rounds. Holyfield buckled down, basically put Dokes away in the early minutes of the 10th round, and that's when Evander Holyfield started to become a serious heavyweight contender. Because at that time, Mike Tyson was a champ. Basically, he won one of those third-tier belts to become the number one contender by default, and he got it. Next fight, he fights Adelson Rodriguez, floors him in 2 rounds, and is basically the undisputed number one contender across the board. Fast forward a few weeks later to Atlantic City, when Mike Tyson fought Carl the Truth Williams on a HBO telecast, a fight that lasted 91 seconds. Evander Holyfield was at ringside. Mike Tyson said, "We're ready for the Holyfield fight." There's still more lingering issues trying to get the fight because the bad blood between the promoters, Don King and Dan Duva. Fast forward to February of 1990. Tokyo, Japan. Mike Tyson faces Buster Douglas. Tyson gets through this. June 16, 1990 date was set in stone, and Tyson was guaranteed $30 million. Evander Holyfield, $12 million. Problem was James Buster Douglas happened. Beat Mike Tyson up and down the ring, knocked him out in the 10th round, became the undisputed heavyweight champ. Even Evander Holyfield said, "Don't count Buster Douglas out. I've seen him beat fighters, good fighters myself. It's not a gimme." After the fight, when this was brought up, Evander Holyfield said to Buster, the HBO, "I'm the number one contender. I'm going to get my shot." He got it 9 months later. Holyfield and Douglas. Holyfield knocks him out in the 3rd round to win the heavyweight title. Fast forward to 1991. They had another tentatively scheduled fight set for November 8th, 1991. This fight, Tyson guaranteed 30 mil. Both got guaranteed around the 20 mil range. I think Gates would have surpassed 30 each. Mike Tyson fakes a rib injury, which it turns out he had the trial going on. Winds up in prison. Evander Holyfield is basically fighting and beating all comers while Mike Tyson's sitting in prison. Buster Douglas, George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Burt Cooper, Ray Mercer, Riddick Bowe, Michael Moore, the list goes on and on and on. But still, the question was, will he ever fight Mike Tyson? When it came about time to Mike Tyson's release, Evander Holyfield loses the title to Michael Moore. He winds up with a so-called heart condition, goes to a faith healer, gets himself put back together, takes a fight with Ray Mercer, and by the time he fights Ray Mercer, Mike Tyson's released from prison, and we're having another conversation about Holyfield and Tyson. But Evander Holyfield gets the wallops beaten out of him by Riddick Bowe in the 3rd fight. Has a fight against Bobby Ches where he looks mediocre. Mike Tyson gets a belt from Frank Bruno, ducks Lennox Lewis twice, so he can pursue the Holyfield fight. And here we are, November 8th, 1996. A lot of weird accusations from the Mike Tyson camp. And I mean weird accusations. I'm not even going to go there with it. But when they had the face-off, Evander Holyfield stared a dagger right into Mike Tyson's face as if he knew he got it. It was later revealed by his attorney, Jim Thomas, basically said, he told him to his face, I got this one. I just have a belt to pick up. Odds for this fight started out 25-1 in Tyson's favor. As Evander Holyfield was walking into the ring, it dropped to 5-1. Nobody knew who it was. Nobody knew why it was. Somebody knew something we didn't, because when he got into the ring, he had that confident smirk. He had the look of a guy who's ready to handle business. Opening minute of the fight, actually the opening seconds of the fight, the first two punches that Mike Tyson landed, hurt Evander Holyfield. Looked like it was going to be a quick night. But Evander Holyfield started to slow the pace down, got into what he wanted to get into, and basically started to take control early. Big moment, at the middle of round two, he spins Tyson around and puts a combination of pins Tyson on the ropes that had the MGM Grand Garden in Las Vegas screaming off the top of their lungs. Crowd packed 19,000, probably 18 were cheering for Holyfield. Rounds 3 and 4, more to Holyfield's pace. As Showtime commentator Bobby Ches perfectly said, he went back to smart boxing, using his jab, using his reach, using his weight and body to not let Tyson get off on the inside, and basically controlling most of the first 4 rounds. And in round 5, a sneaky body shot by Mike Tyson, and looked like momentum was going to change. Evander Holyfield started to jump back and started going to retreat a little bit, but it was an opportunity Mike Tyson failed to capitalize on. It took that body shot took a lot of wind out of Evander Holyfield. It's a perfectly placed left hook right underneath the ribs, right here, where you hit him, you lose your breath. But fast forward to the next round. Both guys had their moments in that round until like a minute left, about minute 20 left, excuse me. Holyfield started to turn it on, and the next thing you know, Tyson swings and misses, an uppercut to the chest, down went Tyson. And from that point on, Evander Holyfield just beat the wallops out of him from round 6 to the end, and the fight was basically starting to take full control of him. Mike Tyson got basically nothing going. Anything Evander Holyfield wanted to do, he did it. End of round 10, a combination with a big left hook and a right uppercut that put Mike Tyson out on his feet. The bell saved Mike Tyson as he was wobbling into the ropes where the corner should have stopped it, in my opinion. When Mike Tyson got up, the first 30 seconds, Evander Holyfield just let his hands go. The fight was stopped. There's Evander Holyfield wearing a heavyweight championship of the world for a 3rd time. I bring this up because this was a symbolism of what Mike Tyson's career and his fans were. Here started coming the excuses. Headbutts. He was on roids. He was this. He was that. First of all, I don't want to hear about headbutts because Mike Tyson delivered his own share of headbutts. Actually, there's a moment where he ran into Holyfield's head and almost got knocked down himself. He tried to pull Evander Holyfield with him in the 7th round. Steroids. Accuse it all you want. The guy didn't flunk a PED test. Mind you, what the excuse he used for the loss of Buster Douglas. Stuff I had to use for 28 years. Mike Tyson didn't have Kevin Rooney. Newsflash. Evander Holyfield had his 3rd trainer in his career in Don Turner, who basically that wasn't a household name. The only thing he was known for was brief work with Larry Holmes. Mike Tyson was past his prime. Evander Holyfield was 5 years older and 1 year removed from being knocked out by Riddick Bowe. Every excuse Mike Tyson fans love to use for this is easy to shut down. Yes, I know Mike had his issues with the stuff like outside the ring, well chronicled, understandably so. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm talking about the excuses they use for him in the ring. They use every single excuse in the ring to hide the fact that he was not the bully that he was. Because I said before, anytime, any place, any era, I don't care what stage of their careers they're in, I'll take Evander Holyfield 10 times out of 10 for one simple reason, and one simple reason only, in 2 words. no fear. Evander Holyfield was never intimidated by Mike Tyson. He always knew if he got Mike Tyson in the ring, he would beat Mike Tyson and handle him. 28 years ago and today at the MGM Grand Garden, he validated it. You can use anybody, use Mike Tyson fans, especially the ones that are older than me with wrinkled faces and gray beards, can use all the excuses you want years later. Doesn't matter. He basically, Evander Holyfield got him in that ring, handed his butt to him from start to finish, and that was all she wrote. If they would have fought in 91 like they were supposed to, he would have done the same thing. If they were going to, they would have fought in 90 after Tyson taking care of business against Buster Douglas, that would have happened too. Because he was never afraid of him. Actually, it would have been worse because in 91, he had a brilliant mind himself named George Benton. All you young guys need to Google him. George Benton was a brilliant mind in Evander Holyfield's camp, the way he was with Meldrick Taylor and Pernell Whitaker, all part of the 84 Olympic team. He would have had Evander Holyfield ready to go to beat Mike Tyson then too. They knew he could. They knew it. It was proven. Granted, but both guys having during that 8-year build-up, a lot of turmoil in and out of the ring. But once that bell rang, Evander Holyfield knew it. Evander Holyfield said it, and he basically backed it up, beat him from pillar to post, and won the heavyweight championship of the world from Tyson. What can you say? Evander Holyfield, probably a top 10 heavyweight all time. His resume basically for heavyweight second to none for that time. The only thing he didn't do was beat Lennox Lewis twice, which of course Lennox Lewis is a different breed, but never ducked anyone. Won them all, fought them all, beat them all at that time. He avenged the loss to Riddick Bowe in the second fight, and 2 years later, he avenged the loss of Michael Moore, which was about 25 years ago today, where he knocked him down 6 times in the last 5 rounds. Evander Holyfield, you can say whatever you want. You can accuse him of what you want. Undisputed cruiserweight champ, 3-time legit heavyweight champ. He got another belt later on when he was in his downturn for funky circumstances, but that's another story. He got the job done, whether you guys liked it or not. He is a top 10 heavyweight all time, like it or not. Probably the greatest cruiserweight of all time, although Alexander Usyk might have something to say about that. You can't deny his place in history. When he beat Mike Tyson, he secured it for life. And he just didn't beat him. He basically was the choir boy, dressed up nice like myself, ripped off the shirt, went to the bully's backyard, and punked him. He punked Mike Tyson, something I never thought I'd say. I mean, he just didn't beat him just really dirty boxing. He bullied and punked Mike Tyson, stood toe-to-toe with him, took his shot, came back, and put him away for good. What more can you say? Mike Tyson's career after that was basically it. Of course, the rematch with the ear bite. I'm not going to elaborate on that. It was largely because Holyfield was going to beat him again. Mike Tyson took the way out. Did basically nothing of relevance ever since. Got suspended for a while. Went back in jail a couple of times. Got a title shot against Lennox Lewis. Was it. A title shot Mike Tyson didn't deserve, but because of the dollars that was involved in it, everyone wanted it. But Evander Holyfield, I told you guys then, I'll say it again. Anytime, any place, any era, give me Holyfield over Tyson any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I don't care about Kevin Rooney in his corner because he can have Kevin Rooney, he can have Angelo Dundee, he can have Eddie Futch, he can have Emmanuel Stewart. It didn't matter because Evander Holyfield was never intimidated by Mike Tyson. He proved it 28 years ago today at Madison Square Garden at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Packed 19,000. Probably at least 18 were chanting "Holy, holy, holy." That's why he was the man of that time. I mean, everybody talks about the greatest resumes in boxing history. I saw some of you guys post about it. I don't know about the greatest because it depends on your criteria, but it's definitely got to be up there because he backed down from no one. I mean, he was a first to floor Mercer. He was a first to floor Riddick Bowe before he beat Mike Tyson. And everybody at fight games know the type of chins Mercer and Bowe had at that time. Says a lot to how great he was. Boy, I love bringing this up because I always like rattling the graybeards known as Mike Tyson fans. These are like rattling the Bengals fans here in Cincinnati. I said this before. Mike Tyson fans from the 80s, 90s, the Bengals fans of today, all the same. Common denominator, this guy's seen it, this guy's living it, and this guy will speak out on it. That's the difference. Boy, amazing how the world turns for me these days, doesn't it? What can you say? And on that note, I will wrap up this edition of Sirhan on X. Monday, I will go full prime time at 7:30 Eastern, live from my particular facility, my particular new house. Got my carpet installed, and I got some food to eat. Good slate of NFL games, also some college games this week. Look forward to checking those out. I hope everyone out there has themselves a wonderful day and weekend. For those of you in Cincinnati, enjoy it because it's like in the 60s out, 50s and 60s right now. I'm actually going to go to the FC Cincinnati game tomorrow. Check it out. You know, a Cincinnati icon, Lucho Acosta, looking to lead his team to the playoff win over NYCFC to probably advance. Because with the Columbus Crew eliminated, they get a chance to host the second round if they pull it off tomorrow. I'll be there. I'll be there to see it. Until then, hope everyone out there enjoys the day and enjoys the weekend. Good day. Good night. Take care of yourselves. Always make self-care a priority. And God bless.